A single thought in a human brain fires across millions of neurons, rapidly organizing into a clear decision. But when a global society encounters a breaking event, millions of minds light up, yet they rarely arrive at the same conclusion. Traditional analysis focuses on a single objective, determining the facts of what is happening. It seeks the ground truth. In a geopolitical conflict, raw sensory input consists of movement, steel, and dust. This is the event before it is processed into a story. To understand why this input creates such radical disagreement, we need a higher-order analysis, an analysis of the analyses themselves. This meta-framework investigates the internal rules that allow different systems to look at the same event and reach conclusions that violently diverge. We often treat societal disagreement as a failure of logic or the result of misinformation. In reality, this divergence is a structural necessity. Societies and brains process information using the same fundamental laws, but they operate through different topological layouts. Both systems manage the chaos of reality through a three-tier funnel called the compression cascade. It begins with distributed raw inputs. In the body, these are millions of nerve impulses. In society, these are the billions of data points, videos, and witness accounts generated by a major event. The second stage narrows this data into patterns. This is where the brain creates perception and society creates media narratives. This middle layer actively reduces complexity. It discards details that don't fit the emerging pattern to ensure the resulting story is coherent. Finally, these narratives are compressed into the most extreme bottleneck, cognition. This is the moment of discrete, actionable decision-making. This brain scan shows the result. Thousands of potential inputs have been silenced to allow a few concentrated nodes of activity to drive a single functional output. Society reaches a similar bottleneck in this final room. Global narratives, no matter how complex, are eventually forced into the rigid binary of an institutional vote or a policy mandate. Both systems work by aggressively shedding information. Many inputs become fewer interpretations, which solidify into even fewer formal decisions. This shared architecture raises a question. If the cascades are identical, why does a healthy brain achieve unity while a healthy society remains fractured? The difference is found in the mechanism of the final layer, the integration topology. The brain utilizes a bounded integrator. It employs rapid internal inhibition to force competing signals into a single, unified perspective, suppressing anything threatening internal coherence. Society, however, functions through distributed integrators. It lacks a global self to enforce internal silence. Contradictions in a society are processed externally, through competition between institutions and media camps, allowing conflicting interpretations to persist for years. The brain is structurally optimized to collapse plurality into unity. Society is structurally optimized to preserve plurality as a series of competing equilibria. In a distributed system, a single event splinters into different realities because of strain filters. Every incoming fact is screened through a group's historical memory, security fears, and core identity attachments. These filters route the same data node into entirely different endpoints, a security threat, a humanitarian crisis, or a legal violation. These stable, deeply entrenched viewpoints function as interpretive attractors. Divergent attractors are highly stable, parallel reductions of the same event strain field. They exist as structural necessities of a distributed system, rather than errors in logic. We can formalize the stability of these viewpoints by looking at the tension between a system's ability to coordinate and the complexity of the pressures it faces. This relationship is defined by the coherence equation. Coherence, or the stability of an interpretation, is driven by the system's integration strength, but it is diluted by the strain dispersion, the variety of competing pressures pulling the system apart. In this model, integration strength provides the push toward a unified story, while dispersion acts as the resistance. The result is a phase diagram that maps how a society's truth shifts as these forces change. High integration paired with low dispersion creates unified cognition. This is the state where a society functions like a single brain, arriving at a total national consensus. When coordination is weak and the pressures are highly scattered, the system falls into fragmented turbulence. meaning collapses into noise. Distributed systems like our global society typically operate in the middle ground, moving between creative plurality and polarized competition as these different groups try to integrate the same strain field. In any complex system without a rigid central boundary, divergence is the mathematical baseline. Plurality is not a failure of the system, it is the inevitable outcome of its geometry. We often speak as if society is a single, massive brain that has lost its way. It is more accurately described as a network of semi-coupled brains. We share a partial sensory field, but we lack a shared cognitive layer to unify what we see. Unity of thought requires a bounded integrator. Where that boundary is absent, plurality is the inescapable natural state of the world.